PLD Projects presents Holy Snokes, the Star Wars podcast, featuring PLD and Matty Gunner. May the Force be with you, always.
Up, everybody.
Okay, for everyone wondering why I'm laughing right at the start of the show, PLD did not show me that thumbnail before we went live recording. That is the first time I'm seeing that thumbnail.
The great Jacob Patrick always comes through.
JP, well done. Well done.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to PLD Projects. Welcome to Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast here on that network. I am PLD. With me, as always, is the Darth Maul to my Emperor Palpatine, Matty Gunner, my friend. How are you doing?
You are indeed PLD. You are him. I'm doing good, mate. I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing okay. It's been a busy month. There's stuff going on, obviously, around here. It's why my schedule for the shows have been a little bit hectic. That's why we missed last week. Got one car right now, so between the three of those, because my daughter had to take my other car because she went to school, and it's just all sorts of things, just timing-wise, it's just kind of crazy going on. So it is what it is, but I'm here this week, and I'm ready to talk.
Can I tell you I learned something about you or adjacent to you this week?
I'm scared.
I wanted to save this for the show.
I'm scared.
I found out. I know why you are a Boston Red Sox man.
Really?
I know this.
Do tell.
I found out that there is a Boston, New York.
There is a Boston, New York. Yes, there is a Boston.
When you were growing up, did you think that the Boston Red Sox were from Boston, New York?
I did not. It's a good guess. It is a good guess. For those who haven't heard me before, I am from upstate New York. That's where I live. There's a lot of people giving me shit all the time about loving the Red Sox over the Yankees. But I will tell you two things. First of all, where I am is actually, there is a large Red Sox contingency. And I think it's honestly because we are equidistant to Boston, really, that we are to New York. It's about the same distance. So we can go to Fenway for a game. We can go to Yankee Stadium for a game. We can go to either. The reason why I became a Red Sox fan was because I liked sports. I started liking sports all around the same time, 1985, 1986, around that era. And 1986 World Series was the Red Sox versus the Mets. Now, you would think that as a New York guy, I probably would have picked the Mets at least, or something to that effect. But my next door neighbor, Jason, said about me. He was my age, went to school with him, and he was a diehard Red Sox fan. I don't know how he became a diehard Red Sox fan, but he made me look into them, and I kind of just loved the underdog story, and they hadn't won the World Series in so many years, and for whatever reason, that just clicked with me, and I started rooting for them that year, and of course, that was the year Bill Buckner happened, so I was like baptized by fire, and I've been a Red Sox fan ever since, and 2004 is still my pinnacle of my Red Sox fandom as we broke the curse, and yada, yada, yada. But that is why I'm a Red Sox fan, but I do appreciate the insight, and you're not wrong. That was a good guess.
I was just very surprised to find out that two things that I have grown up being told could not be further apart from each other are like a rivalry that rivals every football team over here in Boston and New York. I was like, wait, there's a Boston in New York? Is that what the beef is about?
That's right. That's why Boston is taking over. That's what it is. Boston's kind of infiltrated it now. You don't see any New York City, Massachusetts, do you? There's no suburb of Boston called New York. It's all Boston. No,
maybe you need to get good and actually do something about that.
Wow. Yeah, that's our Jedi Sith story. The Red Sox are definitely the good guys. The Empire is the evil empires. So we got that going for them. Guy goes back to Star Wars. This week's
technically wouldn't Boston be the rebellion because they kicked the English Empire out?
Yeah, that's actually a good call. Yeah, Boston would be the rebellion. Okay, and New York is already actually called the evil empire. So it makes a lot of sense in the world. So there you go.
So that's what that is. There's a Madball album called Evil Empire. Is that what that's for?
Yeah. Yankees actually, one of the Red Sox GM back in like 2003 called the Yankees the Evil Empire, and it kind of stuck, and they actually embraced it, and they would play the Imperial March when they come around and everything else. And Yeah, so
See, that's two
good.
things I learned today.
There you go. There you go. Learning things on Holy Snokes is my first priority for you, Matty. Yeah. Speaking of learning things, we have news this week. We have 2 weeks of news, but unfortunately, there's still not a lot after 2 weeks. This will be a quick news break before we get into our main topic today, which is a topic pitched by one Matty Gunner. And I'm going to let you describe the pitch, as it were, Matty.
The pitch. Basically, okay. So we have whatever the name of the channel is that's coming to Disney Plus,
Right.
The subscription or whatever it is, where it's going to essentially be like cable television, but they're going to play only Marvel and Star Wars properties. So maybe one day you flick on the channel, you see Avengers Endgame. Coming up behind it would be The Rise of Skywalker or an arc of the Clone Wars. So I heard, I believe it was Quentin Tarantino talking about remote drop moments. That moment when you're looking on the TV and you see the moment there and you hit pause, and I pick up the phone right away. I'm like, Paul, you got to turn on this, whatever this channel is called right now. It's that scene from that Star Wars movie. It's the scene that I love. What is that moment? We're gonna go through movie by movie. What is the scene that when it comes on the TV, you're flicking through the channels, you see it on the TV, you stop, you drop everything you're doing, you sit down, grab a snack if you can, if it's near, and then the rest of your day is sorted.
I love it. It's a great. He pitched it to me. I was on board immediately, and I've had
I think it was
some of those moments.
I'm gonna give him credit anyway.
And I will also give a little bit of credit to the Action Army, the Action guys. Bedman Ender guy. We gave him the pitch, and for fist bump moments, we just combined the two as a little.
Wait till we do our fist pump moments episode in the future.
Fair enough. All right, let's get into the news for the last 2 weeks here. First off, a bit of a sad note. On October 1st, this was posted on Star Wars Newsnet, which is where I take most of my Star Wars stories from, because I like how they collate things and they separate the wheat from the chaff, and we get the actual news versus the rumors and speculation as much as we can. But this is a sad note. Producer Robert Watts passed away at the age of 86 years old. The English producer worked on the original Star Wars trilogy. He also worked on the first 3 Indiana Jones film, and also Who Framed Roger Rabbit as well. Jedi News, according to Star Wars Newsnet, had credited lots of the idea that he suggested Jeremy Bulloch auditioning for the role of Boba Fett in The Empire Strikes Back, as he was his half brother, interestingly enough. And also,
really?
Yeah, I did not know that. Know that. So it's interesting little relations there. And finally, production designer Roger Christian had some words that he had posted on his Facebook page. I've just heard the news that my dear friend Robert Watts had passed. Robert was one of the 5 people who really stood by George and our tiny art department to get Star Wars made. Robert was very spiritual, and we became more than friends. I interviewed him for my documentary, Galaxy Built on Hope, and value greatly his insight. I will miss him. So it's a case of, we are getting older, and more, man, like a couple weeks ago, the celebrity Grim Reaper had just swathed through, or like the where the Dame Maggie Smith. Oh my God, all these people were just.
Oh, dude,
right.
That one got me. But there's one movie that I've noticed that you failed to mention that Robert Watts produced.
Okay.
Fievel Goes West.
Fievel Goes West. That's true. It's another one he produced. That's very true. Very true. I know that's pivotal for some people's childhood. I know. So, are you one of those people?
Yeah,
fair enough. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I mean, we're getting older. We're starting to see some of the greats pass on. It's a sad time, but it's just a time to celebrate what they did. And obviously, he, like Roger Christian said, one of the main people who were right there from the very beginning in the art department. It's hard to imagine like Lucasfilm at that time. Right, we're so big to Lucasfilm being this like huge company with Disney now, even without Disney, like they were just a huge production company. And back in the day, they were starting from nothing, and look what they've accomplished. And he was right there throughout it all. So, best thoughts and wishes to his family and his friends. And Mr. Watts, I salute you, and rest in peace, rest in power, my friend, my friend. So, that is the first bit of news. Any comments from you? Do you need to say anything? Or?
No, I mean we've been losing it, and I know a lot of this like celebrity deaths coming through. There's a lot of our human brains like working to recognize patterns, but like it still sucks, man. Like when I saw the thing about Dame Maggie Smith, I was like, I felt like my nana just died. Like I don't know Dame Maggie. I never knew Dame Maggie Smith, but like she just had that like presence.
Right.
Of,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Your grandmother that you never knew, like her, Dame Judy, and then like hearing about Robert Watson. Like obviously, you look at his resume, and like as a producer at that time, we don't think about a lot of the roles behind the scenes of these like legendary movies that get made. We see like George Lucas's name is up there, and we see all the actors and everything, but like there's people that have to like pull so many strings to get these movies to happen.
Yeah.
And he did it not just for Star Wars, he did it for Indy too.
Indy too, yeah. That's a big 6 right there. That's a big 6 movies right there. So those are my childhood. If I had to pick the 3, yeah, 6 movies are my childhood. So salute Mr. Watts for sure. All right, next up, we got new Skeleton Crew character names dropped. Where else? Toy merchandise packaging. As always, that's where you get your news nowadays. It's toy merchandise packaging. A lot of the names we already knew, but there were 2 names that were dropped that we didn't know about. One was there was the character in the trailer that had he was descending from the ceiling. He looked kind of like an owl, and he had like smoke quality and everything else. Supposedly, that character's name is Kim. That's so my wife will have a namesake in Skeleton Crew. I don't know what it is. It's kind of weird. I heard this conversation recently. What is a Star Wars name and what's not a Star Wars name?
You and I have had this discussion of the more human name, the more like earthly names.
And it's not like it doesn't happen. I mean, Luke Skywalker. Luke is actually a common Earth name. It's not used as much as it was.
So is Han.
Yes, absolutely. Leah is like Leia, so I mean, it's not too far off. There's a lot of things that are close, but yet for some reason, because we grew up with Luke, Luke doesn't sound strange. When you have a name like just all of a sudden, it's like, we got Jod Nawud, and then we have Kim. And it's like, or is it Keem or Kai? Maybe they'll just kind of make it like weird like that. Who knows? The other name we had is actually definitely a far more normal Star Wars name, I should say. There was a blue skin species with a trunk who seems to be a younger sibling potentially of Neil. So in the Armanophon as we have there. This name is Jorka. Jorka.
Jorka. Okay.
There you go. Just a couple names dropped. Trying to get us. We're desperate for excitement for Skeleton Crew. I know I am. I want this show to come out. We are kind of in the dead days. Little news, more anticipation. Although we should get used to this because we're going to obviously cut down on different how much we're getting. We were in the golden days for a while.
Oh yes.
So we're gonna have to cut down on our anticipatory efforts, but we'll take some little crumbs here and there. I like Jorka. I think that sounds like a very Star Wars name. Kim, I can't not like, because my wife would throw me out. So, all right. Anything left to say on that, or should I move on?
No, mate. We ready to move on to the next one.
All right. Next up, New York City Comic-Con is coming. New York City Comic-Con is coming. My son's actually going to make an appearance there.
Oh wow! Is it his first time?
He went last year as well. He likes he has friends who we live in upstate New York, and
I thought I saw the videos of him and Marsh Isley.
No, not quite. If anyone's straight edge, it's him. Honestly, he is very much not a celebration, which is weird for my kid because
Adam from Thank the Maker used to be straight edge.
That's true. That's true. And he's got friends that live in Pennsylvania area, and they have gone the last couple times, and so it's they're going for like one day, I think maybe 2 days. I'm not sure exactly what their ticket was for. I don't know, but they're going down. You probably won't make the panel that I'm most interested in because they're not as big a Star Wars fan as I am. They probably have other things they want to do, especially because they don't read the books. Because that's what we got coming on. It's the Lucasfilm Publishing panel. It's going to be at New York Comic Con on Friday, 3:30 to 4:30. And I'll read off the guests and the little blurb they said. From the days of glorious High Republic to the age of rebellion to Rise of the First Order, join some of Lucasfilm Publishing's all-star authors as they discuss stories from throughout the entire Star Wars saga, including publishing reveals, announcements, and sneak peeks for readers and fans of all ages. Speaking guests of Christina Ariel, Charles Soule, Zoraida Cordova, Mark Guggenheim, Stephen Barnes, who has the Mace Windu book coming up shortly, and Lydia Kang as well.
Cool.
Suggested also in the same article by Star Wars Newsnet. I don't know where they got this information from. They didn't have a link, which is unlike them. Usually they have a link to what they had. So the Random House Worlds had teased that something is coming from their upcoming Reign of the Empire trilogy next week. The Mask of Fear, the trilogy's first book, is going to be released.
Oh, that's got to be Momin related, right?
What was that?
That's got to be like something Momin.
Maybe.
The Mask of Fear.
Potentially. I don't know. Mask of Fear, it's going to be released on February 25th of 2025. It sees the return of Alphabet Squadron writer Alexander Freed. Taking place in the first year of the Empire, it'll be told through the eyes of characters like Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, and Saw Gerrera and what they have to do to survive in a new galaxy. And reigns to see what.
Oh, it's that book.
Yes, remember that book we were talking about, the trilogy they were doing?
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. But they mentioned the High Republic is starting to loosen its stranglehold on publishing because much as if you love the High Republic or you don't love the High Republic, you can say it's definitely been the absolute focus on the publishing group. We've had very little outside of that. Which is both a good thing and a bad thing, I think. I mean, I enjoy the High Republic. I'm in Out of the Shadows right now, which I'm enjoying. I'm going to get to phase 3 soon, I promise. And I've enjoyed the entire, they've done a great job creating a whole new era that we just don't know anything about or haven't seen anything about really. Besides the Acolyte, which it's High Republic, but it's kind of like borderline High Republic.
It's the end of the
High Republic. So this is something new that they did, but at the same time, I'm one who wants to see publishing from all over the place. So I like that the fact that we got the Anakin Obi-Wan audio thing dropped recently. We do have the Mace Windu book coming out, which Alex Damon didn't seem to like very much, unfortunately. Star Wars Newsnet did.
Can I tell you why I think that is? I haven't watched Alex's review of it yet, but can I tell you why I think that is?
Sure.
Because all my homies hate Mace Windu. Unredeemable character.
Star Wars Newsnet does. They like the book.
Is that the Mark Bernardin book?
No, that is the Stephen Barnes book. That is the Stephen Barnes book that's coming out.
No, you're right. I think Mark
Bernardin did I think he did a Mace Windu comic book, right?
That makes more sense. That makes more sense.
Absolutely.
But why do a book about Mace? Why? He doesn't deserve one.
He is I think he's a phenomenally interesting character. So I actually think you're wrong there. I think a book about him was actually kind of cool.
Samuel L. Jackson playing a Jedi is the interesting part.
No, but him getting to where he is, I mean, the way they talk about him, they talk about how so powerful he is, and they don't get to show it very much, really. How'd
that work out for him?
Well, yeah, he loses to Palpatine, but then again, Palpatine's going to beat everybody. Come on now. So I like to see where he came from, what his things are. Actually, I'd be honest, I liked his appearance in Tales from the Jedi, right? Him and Dooku. Yeah, him and Dooku was Tales from the Jedi. And I really appreciate that, getting to see him and Dooku interact. I kind of like the idea of getting to see pre-Clone Wars Mace, just what he does as far as that goes. Because I'd like to see him get a little bit of... I like to see him get a little bit of redemption. Not like big redemption, but like give him some good stuff that he did before he became a dick, so to speak. You are a hater. You are very much a hater. I have certain characters that you dig into deeply and you never let go of grudges. So
Saw Gerrera.
I know.
Perrin. Mace Windu. We should do... I never thought that I would ever suggest that we do this. We should do a character tier list one day.
I'm all for it. For it.
You and I haven't done a tier list since... God. It wasn't the fast food one. You and I did a tier list at one point. It was after the episode of the general debate that I won. We went on your channel.
Right.
It was like your old channel.
Yeah.
And we were up until like 3 o'clock in the morning, my time, doing a tier list on something.
I remember, I used to do a bunch of tier lists. I did like wrestling tier lists. I had Star Wars tier lists. We did Star Wars villain tier lists. Maybe that's what we were doing. Maybe.
I think that was because I think I was campaigning for more to be S tier.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah. Okay. One day we're gonna do. We'll break it down like episode by episode.
Right.
Like one episode we do like the prequel trilogy characters.
Yeah.
One episode we do. Yeah.
I could do that. I could say that'd be
Mace is going bottom of the bottom tier.
We'll see. We haven't gotten there yet. I might have something to say about that. I will say you will not see me campaigning for Perrin, so you're safe there. Mace and Saw, I actually think are very interesting characters, so I can see more from them. But back to the Comic-Con stuff, I'm excited to see. I love announcements and reveals. I'm kind of wondering if we're going to get any kind of new announcements of stuff we haven't heard about yet. Like, are the announcements just going to be dates? Are they just going to be like more about what's coming out then? But like, I'm hoping that we get more like announcements of what the next initiative is going to be, if there is a next initiative. Because is it going to go from High Republic to just nothing for a while, where it's just kind of like random, or is there going to be a next initiative where we go like Old Republic, or are we going to try to tie into the James Mangold movie kind of thing, Dawn of the Jedi kind of era? Are we going to do something post things? I mean, there's a lot of different areas we could go for sure. But I'm interested to see. So I love Comic-Con panels like this. I'm hoping that you probably won't get a video of it, but I'm sure somebody will live tweet it, and we'll definitely talk about that on the following episode of Holy Snokes for sure.
Speaking of Comic-Con panels, I do need to shout out our boys over at Scoundrels Inc.
Yes,
LA Comic-Con panel. I think this is the second or third year in a row they've done it now.
That's good for them.
They crush it every time. See the crowd getting bigger every time. Yeah. So you may have taken our name, and I will forever hold that against you. But
oh, you got to hold it against me because I gave it to him. I let him have it, so it's definitely.
Yeah, but I have to see you every week, so
that's true.
I let that go. I see Brandon and Frankie and Smets like one time out of the year.
They did take advantage of an inebriated PLD.
Now that's your fault.
That's my fault. Completely my fault. But yeah, I love those. I love this guy. Frank Janish is always great to see on Twitter. We have some great conversations there. Fellow Bears fan. But Kevin Smets, Sully is around every once in a while. So Brandon, Hannah, wonderful people. Wonderful show. So go check that out. Go check them out for sure. Scoundrels Inc. over there. All right, next up, news. Got only a little bits left. This was kind of the bigger one, one of the bigger ones we've had. Ewan McGregor was recently at LA Comic-Con as well, speaking of LA Comic-Con. And while I have yet to see a video or a full quote necessarily.
I've seen it.
Oh, is there a video out there now?
There is, and I have seen the full quote.
Okay. Well, then maybe you can help me with the full quote, because I don't have it. Because all I know from Star Wars Newsnet, basically, there was a spotlight on Ewan McGregor panel, and the actor basically revealed that he had spoken to Lucasfilm about the possibility of continuing adventures of Obi-Wan Kenobi and what he described as a second season. And he also mentioned he wanted to have more flashback scenes with Hayden Christensen, maybe wearing the Clone Wars battle armor, things of that nature.
That he said.
Okay, so what did he then? Is breaking news to me as well. Isn't that what
First
I found?
part? He didn't say that he'd spoken to Lucasfilm. He said we are exploring ideas.
Well, that kind of implies that he's been speaking like, because who's the
does it, or does that just say that like him, because he is a executive producer on the show,
right?
Is that just like him and the writing team kind of being like, let's look at ideas that we could pitch to Lucasfilm before we go ahead, because they know they know that Lucasfilm will cut him back. Ewan's got to know because he's an executive producer, so he's got to know that if we are gonna like really like look how many attempts it took Ryan Reynolds to get Deadpool and Wolverine, $1 billion movie. How many like incarnations of that had to go through for Disney, for Kevin Feige say, go picture. I think like, especially with, and we're not going to talk about it because today is a fun day, like these what I call the fuck yous groups instead of focus groups, they are really going to have to like pull something like that is like a sure thing.
See, I Here's my counter argument. First of all, I understand what you're saying about it being maybe you and the writing team or whatever potentially. The fact he said we have explored ideas, I still think that means he's talking to people at Lucasfilm, and I don't think he would mention exploring ideas if it was a dead story. Like if Lucasfilm had said no, it's not happening, I don't think he would say. I mean, there is the idea, and then maybe he's trying to push goodwill and trying to push it out to the audience and get them to want it more. But I also would say that it makes sense in some areas because you could say the Obi-Wan series was, I don't know, it wasn't
great.
like,
yes, I would say that.
I absolutely. I think I very much enjoyed it, and I think overall it was pretty successful overall.
It was divisive.
There was some divisiveness. It wasn't completely all loved, and that's okay. That's fine. However, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen have earned such kind of notoriety and bank among the Star Wars community from pretty much all sides. Even with the idea that maybe some people didn't like the first one as much, if you came up to me and said, or Kim announced tomorrow, Ewan McGregor wants to come back and do more Obi-Wan, we're going to do it. We're going to do an Obi-Wan season 2. Hayden Christensen is going to be involved. That's a hit. That's a good PR thing for Lucasfilm, who kind of needs could use a PR win right now, honestly. So them announcing that and going forward with that, like it's much more. People are like, why would you renew the Obi-Wan if you didn't renew the Acolyte? I know that's the kind of thing going on, but Obi-Wan has the basis of having that in place. That in place, they have one of the most successful actors of the saga, someone who's been dearly beloved since his return to the saga. And it just seems like it's a story that everybody would like to see, generally speaking.
Now, I know about the two ideas that he's had, like the two ones that he's kind of like looking at most.
Possibly, I know there's the Clone Wars flashbacks I heard, but go ahead with whatever else.
He said he is open to do the de-aging.
Okay.
For like a whole thing, and he's also looking at a story between Obi-Wan season 1 and Alec Guinness.
Well, that I have heard. He said because he always said something like there's a few more stories to tell in between Obi-Wan season 1 and when we get to Alec Guinness, which is fine. And I think that's actually true.
My thing is this. Don't do an Obi-Wan season 2. Live action Clone Wars arc.
I get where you're coming
from. You want to hit. That's a hit.
See, I don't necessarily disagree. At the same time, I feel like it's a little bit more been there, done that than we've been. Like we've already had 7 seasons of Clone Wars, which I loved. I know getting a live action.
We've never seen you in that armor.
Absolutely, but I think you can do both. My pitch would be something more of a let's do something more personal. Now this is kind of a swing. I don't know how it would go over, but get Liam back, get Hayden back. We have basically the story because we kind of let off at the end of season 1 rather. Obi-Wan was going with Liam, we're going with Qui-Gon to learn more. So have that be the story where Qui-Gon's teaching Ewan, and there's also a aspect of that revolves around Obi-Wan getting over Anakin stuff. And then you have the Clone Wars episode part as flashbacks or inside the season. Now, can you do a whole season of just teaching? Like some people might not like that not being action kind of thing. There's an action piece added to it somehow potentially, but I think I would like that. I kind of like a low key like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan learning like the Force, like exploring the Force. You can kind of do something like what Yoda did in the Clone Wars, like those arcs where they're exploring the Force.
Qui-Gon's like the uninvited house guest. Like he just won't leave.
Right, exactly. Just
adapt the book, adapt the Legends book.
That's something you could do as well. Absolutely, you could do something like that. They seem hesitant to do that kind of stuff, so probably not. But I don't think that'd be a bad idea at all. But add on to that, with that, you could have Obi-Wan doing something, learning from Qui-Gon, having a flashback element, a couple episodes where maybe one episode is a complete flashback of the Clone Wars. It's you and Hayden together, kind of thing. I think it'd be kind of cool to see. I'd like that idea, and that's where you go. But I think that is a big announcement, a big hit. I don't think we're going to hear an announcement of it soon. Maybe that's what we get at Celebration. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I think if we're lucky.
Yeah, I'm saying maybe. I'm not saying. I'm not giving it definitive at all.
Okay.
In my head,
I was just like, whoa. Pump the
I don't even
brakes.
think we're definitely going to happen. I don't think it's definitely going to happen, but I do think
It's got to,
that it's
man.
not dead.
That man picks up the phone and says, "I want to work."
Yeah, that's what I say. He's one of your guys. He is one of your guys, and Hayden can get involved. That's one of your guys.
Who is the actress that played the young Ahsoka? Ariana
Greenblatt. Yeah, she would do it in a heartbeat too, I believe.
Let's bring her back.
100%. Absolutely, 100%. I would do that. Now, one of the arguments about Obi-Wan, and I kind of am on the side of it a little, even though I happen to be on the side of a lot of bad people, so I guess I'll put it out there, is that it did become more of the Reva show at times. I love the character of Reva. I think she's a cool character. I like to see her story, but I think having an Obi-Wan series that is more focused full time on Obi-Wan would serve the story well and serve what people want to see. I'd love to see I wouldn't mind seeing a Reva follow-up, honestly, on a different side of things. Have an Obi-Wan that's more focused on Obi-Wan. Because if you remember correctly, there was actually Obi-Wan was a movie at one point, or a trilogy of movies at one point, and then it got cut down and cut back and everything else. But then when it got expanded out to a series, that's when all of a sudden these new other things happened that weren't as Obi-Wan related. Streaming it down to a movie would have been perfect. And that's another idea we could do. You don't have to do a season 2 of Obi-Wan. You can do a Disney Plus movie. Or you could do a regular movie, as you could do
just a movie. You could. Mandalorian and Grogu getting into their own movie. Absolutely. Why can't arguably the biggest character not named Luke Skywalker?
Absolutely could be. So, I mean, there's a lot of potential out there, a lot of possibilities. And I throw out there Disney Celebration only because like I said, we already know. What do we know so far? It's coming out. We know Skeleton Crew in December. Andor the first part of the year of next year. We know Ahsoka is supposedly about 2026. Speaking of that, there was actually a news drop right before I started recording, or not news drop, but Best Bulletin posted something about that they believe, or they have sources saying that Ahsoka is going to start filming in April or May of next year instead of the initially posited August that Natasha Lee Bordizzo had said at a convention. I guess that was kind of misinterpreted, and that they were refilming in August, but they might be starting filming in April or May, which makes sense. But that does make sense. The idea of being, if we're going to do one Star Wars show a year, which is one live action Star Wars show a year, which is what has been pushed forward, we have Andor being next year's show, Ahsoka being 2026. So that's already been announced. So I wouldn't be surprised if Celebration goes, yes, we're doing Ahsoka next year, and then entering production next year, Obi-Wan season 2, or something to that effect. Potentially.
Yeah.
The other side of things, of course, honestly, also is there's a potential. I did hear this from somewhere else. This is, again, wasn't on Star Wars Newsnet, so I don't give it as much credence. So I actually forget where I saw this, but there was an idea that it's one of those kind of surprise, really, but moments where it's been posited that Lucasfilm, despite John Watts' claim of Skeleton Crew being a limited series, being a one and done, that Lucasfilm is very open to having Skeleton Crew being more than one season kind of show. But of course, it will depend on audience viewership. Well, duh. Well, duh. That's TV. If you don't watch Skeleton Crew,
we ain't getting a season 2 then. If that's what it depends on, we ain't getting a season 2.
You don't think we're getting audience viewership for Skeleton Crew?
No, it's going to get review bombed before the first episode even airs.
I don't think that this one. I think this one could get away with it a little bit more because, quite frankly, I'll call a spade a spade. John Watts is a white male director. It's got Jude Law, a white male lead, and it's adventures in space. It's a good it's a storyline that people like. It's swaggering adventures in space. This one might actually be. This is why I've actually said this might be something that brings the universe together, and again, the first time in a long time. So potentially. That goes the whole thing. I don't think that's not a good thing as far as that goes. It's not good. Like the whole John, but those are the creators. There's no reason to review bomb it, so to speak. So that might we escape it, possibly, but we'll see. So I could see it getting a second season potentially if it's successful enough. We'll have to find out. For sure. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So we don't know. That's Obi-Wan could come up. Skeleton Crew season 2 can come up. It all depends. It all depends what they want to do. Maybe they decide not to do 1 season a year. Maybe they decide to do 2 seasons a year or something like that. They could always go back and do something like that as well. I think 3 is too much, but maybe 2 might be a sway. But between the movies and everything else, you don't want to oversaturate. So there's a lot of decisions to be made.
You say 3 is too much. What if Hondo is in this show?
Oh, if Hondo's in that show, we could have 18 seasons a year. I don't care. I'm all for it.
Okay, so be careful what you wish for.
I know. All right. Last bit of, unless you have anything else to add?
No. Okay.
Last bit of news is one of those quick speculation, fun bit of news drops. Did you see on Twitter the interaction between Simu and John Boyega?
No. Do you have it? Can you pull it up?
Yeah, I can probably pull it up. Let me see. Hold on. Share screen. All right. So
I have not seen this. Simu is very oh my god.
It's gonna be a little prepping, right?
Oh my god.
And John Boyega followed up with the old Shang-Chi gif.
Mm-hmm.
Simu posted John Boyega gif of Finn. John Boyega's response to this.
I think that's just the winky face of the first picture.
No, that is in response to that.
Yeah, but as someone who has left a lot of sly-faced emojis on a lot of pictures of promiscuous-looking individuals, I don't know.
Hey, I'm not saying it means everything. I'm not saying it means everything, but
I love Simu. Like, I love Simu. Shang-Chi, my opinion, best MCU movie. The best one. He is awesome in it. He is hilarious. I don't know if you follow him much on social media, like on Instagram. He's hilarious. Mm-hmm. He's athletic. He's a damn good dramatic actor. Mm-hmm. Would I want to see him in Star Wars? Absolutely. I feel like it's more he's getting ready for what's the big God, I should know this. Secret Wars. Because isn't Shang-Chi meant to be like heavily involved?
Potentially, yes.
With that?
But I think you're missing the point here. I think honestly you're missing the point. I don't think it has to do with Simu at all. I think Simu and John are friends. And I think that Simu posting a John Boyega as with a lightsaber and Finn winking faces, I think we are confirming Finn's return to Star Wars. That's what I think is happening there. We don't. It's never been officially announced. It's nothing happened.
But it's like
until you know what? We've had how many news things have we known is going to happen and has not happened because it's not been officially announced? But Rogue Squadron is going to happen with Patty Jenkins. We had a sizzle reel and everything about it.
But there's a reason that didn't happen, and you and I know the reason why that didn't happen.
But there's reasons why everything doesn't happen at times. Until we get the announcement, nothing has happened. There's people who don't think Daisy Ridley's going to actually come back potentially. And we've had the announcement on that. John Boyega, we've had nothing. We've had nothing. Rumors, consideration. We had Daisy Ridley saying she wants him back. We've had John Boyega maybe meeting with Kathleen Kennedy. That's it for someone who had been against returning for a long time. So him interacting like that is a possibility.
That's how you know that he is coming back, because they haven't said shit.
That doesn't make any sense.
Everything that they have said has happened or will happen. Gone up in flames. They haven't said that John Boyega is coming back.
That's a double negative. You know what? They also haven't said that They also said that Han Solo is coming back to do a whole de-aged trilogy of young Han Solo. Harrison Ford's coming back. They haven't said that either, but that's not happening either.
You don't think Harrison Ford would do it?
They also said that James Earl Jones isn't coming back from the dead to be to star in the new Darth Vader series. They haven't said that.
Technically, with no disrespect to the man.
No disrespect at all.
Kind of is.
You know what I'm saying, though. You're saying that that's a double negative. You can't say something like.
I'm just saying. They
haven't announced it, so it's gonna happen.
They haven't announced.
They haven't announced Tom Cruise leading a new Jedi Order.
Oh my!
Hasn't happened, so that must be happening.
You know what? We can find that out very easily. Well, not very easy, because every time I've DM'd them out on Twitter, I have received no response.
See, that's what I'm saying. But that's what you're saying a double negative. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So until we get
Look
some kind of
look at the pattern here. Look at the pattern here.
But I
The
will
one
say,
you mentioned yourself, Rogue Squadron. They talked about it. It didn't happen. Lando. They talked about it.
Still happening.
Still hasn't happened.
Still going to happen.
James Mangold movie. They announced it. Still hasn't happened. They haven't said anything about it.
You're a pain in my ass right now. Just letting you know that. Pain in my ass right now.
I'm sticking by my conviction.
Either way, I think it's an interesting angle.
My theory, if you will.
I will say the other aspect we didn't consider. There are two other possibilities. A is John Boyega potentially working with Simu and something else. Is another project they want to work on together. Something fun to do together. Is John Boyega?
Weren't people fan casting him to like be a new variant of
Kang at one point?
Kang? Yeah,
that was potentially. But then I think they're just going to go without Kang now. That's what I've thought. That's what has been the latest thing, because that's why RDJ is coming back as Doom. That's what they're looking, kind of like pushing Kang off to the side at this point. That's what I feel like. That's what it sounds like anyway. But maybe John Boyega is doing something with Simu in MCU. And here's the other thing. Is Simu perhaps going with John on Star Wars?
As I say, I would love to see that. What time did John Boyega reply to the picture of Simu Liu? This will tell us everything.
October 6th, 2:25 p.m.
2:25 p.m. All right, what is that for our time? At 7:25? It's not quite horny hours, but I'm saying maybe he's just gassing up his boy.
He could be. And that is absolutely a possibility that these guys are just having fun with each other. But at the same time, I feel like he knows what he's doing a little bit. So maybe there's something to it. Maybe there's not. Who knows? Either way, I just think it's a fun bit of speculation. It's fun to see them interact either way. I love seeing them both in any project together, whether it be Star Wars or not. So
if we live in a universe where we get both Manny Jacinto's arms and Simu Liu's abs in the Star Wars universe,
that'd be great.
This is a win. This is a win.
This is a win. This is very much a win. All right. Let's move on to our drop the remote portion of the show. As said earlier, these are the moments where when we turn on that new Disney Plus channel that's streaming in the background, this is what's going to make you say, oh, I'm stopping washing the dishes. I'm stopping with my taxes. I am calling up Matty and saying, guess what's on right now? This scene just played. You got to watch the rest of it now. And you're going to leave it on for the rest of the episode. The rest of the movie, rather, I should say, because we're talking movies this week. We might come back and do this for the shows at some point. Might be a fun one to do.
Yeah.
But we're going to do the movies so far. So we have all of the movies, the entire 9-part saga. We have the Clone Wars, and we have Rogue One, and we have Solo. Let's get right to it. We're going to start from the beginning. Episode 4, A New Hope. What is your moment?
We're not going story order. Okay, interesting. All right.
No, I'm going to go right from. I'm going from.
Well, I'll start with this. This is perfect actually, because I'm going to start with my easiest one. It's the moment with Luke looking out at the twin suns. Luke looking out over the edge of like just wondering, the possibilities of where his life could go if he wasn't stuck on Tatooine. Everything that is potentially his to have and his to hold. Just that moment of wondering, and if I'm seeing that, if I click on and that moment's there, I'm done. Stopping everything I'm doing. Yep.
It's funny I mentioned that. Actually, that was definitely one of my choices. I mean, I have a couple of choices for both that I could do, and quite frankly, if I'm being really honest with you, the whole movie is our stuff. I just drop anyway. But for the sake of the bit, for the sake of the game here, I also noticed when I was looking throughout the films, like a lot of my initial thoughts were stuff that happened really close to the end, because some of my favorite fist bump moments are at the end, and like that would be the ones that, but they don't make sense as the drop the remote moments. Like I would say Han Solo coming back at the end of episode 4 is like, yeah, my big fist pump moment, but that's not a moment where it's the movie's basically over at that point.
Mhm.
Honestly, after that, so I have to talk about something else that would make me drop.
This is why this is the remote drama. It's very we have to be really careful not to pick like our favorite or our fist pump moments.
I have two I chose in this one, but I'm going to go with the one. My one remote drop moment. I'll give you an honorary mention for Vader choking Matty, because that was the moment where I'm like, I was all in. I'm like, oh, that's Darth Vader. That's my boy. But if I have to be honest, it's my one definitive moment. Sacrifice of Obi-Wan.
Oh, yes.
When Obi-Wan just raises his blade and Vader goes through and Luke's like, the blasting starts, everything else. I'm drawn to that action bit so much. I'm going, okay, let's see what's next now. Let's do it. At that point. So, music plays and music swells.
And you're not rewinding the movie at this point. This is the moment that you see, and you're like, okay, I'm watching the rest of the movie.
I don't need to see that stuff about Tatooine, about Luke growing up in Tatooine, and I don't need to see the Death Star, the rest of Death Star stuff, the trash compactor, whatever. I'm here now. Let me watch this now for the rest of it. So that was my moment for A New Hope. All right, let's go into Empire Strikes Back. Ooh, this is a tough one.
This was really tough. Like my first one was the first shot of the Imperial walkers coming out of the snow.
Nice.
But I've settled with Yoda lifting the X-wing.
That's a beautiful moment. That is a beautiful moment. The music again, Johnny Williams. Get that documentary coming out soon. That John Williams moment in there. Oh man, those are about almost all of the Star Wars moments for me, are almost involving some kind of score moment from John Williams. But yeah, when Yoda lifts that X-wing out, and I don't believe it.
Because you think back to the first time you ever saw him do that. We had no idea that you could do that with the Force. Like,
right?
What the hell? He's just lifted this entire ship up out of the mud.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's a beautiful moment. I love that choice. I do. And I probably would. It's not what I chose, though. I chose something a little bit later on, a little closer to the end, but gives me enough movie to say, yes, I'm still happy here. The appearance of Vader at the top of the steps. When Luke walks in. You see that silhouette, and boom, there's Darth Vader. You're like, okay, here we go.
Yep.
Can't go wrong there. Man, it's just that first moment of confrontation between young Jedi wannabe Luke Skywalker and the greatest badass of all time, Darth Vader. We right into one of my favorite lightsaber sequences of the entire saga. It's just a beautifully done, beautifully scored, beautifully shot, emotional. Give it to me. All right, let's talk next. Return of the Jedi.
Well, mine kind of goes off the back of yours because it's also about a Skywalker silhouette, and it's right at the start. When I first saw Luke walking into Jabba's palace, I thought, oh, that's Luke's shadow. No, it's Luke dressed all in black.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait,
what?
He's not supposed to wear all black. The
He's
back,
choking. And he's force choking Gamorrean guards and stuff. You're like, who is this guy?
You're like, go back to old westerns. What was the color of the bad guy's hat? It was the bad guy always wore black.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see him choking Gamorrean guards. He's pulling the mind tricks. And you're just like, did he turn?
Right. What happened?
For that moment, I'm like, I'm in.
This was actually a tough one for me because my best fist bump moments are the throne room battle, but it's almost too close to the end for me to do it. I did posit a weird one, which was the conversation between Vader and Luke after Luke gets captured on the AT-AT. But I think there's one that really probably sets me up. It is right towards the beginning. Surprisingly, given how much time is left and how much we have to go through to get to the really meaty parts and my favorite parts at the end. But the moment that I used to play as a kid nonstop, when Luke steps off the skiff and grabs the diving board,
turns around and grabs it,
and flips over and grabs the lightsaber. The battle begins. Yeah, I'm all in. I'll give you that action sequence there, baby. I'm all in. And then I love the John Williams score there too. That it builds up to it's nice. That's where Luke starts becoming. That's where Luke shows his real first, I mean,
And it like
very
crescendos
quickly,
as he does the flip.
yes. Archie's out there catching the saber. Han starts helping. It's pure Star Wars fun at that moment. So I'm sitting down watching the rest of that point all in. So for sure. All right. Next up, Phantom Menace.
This was an easy
Phantom
one.
Menace. Easy one for you. What if we're the same one? Go ahead.
Darth Maul looking out over the sands of Tatooine.
Ah, nice.
The shot that they mirrored in Ahsoka,
Mm-hmm.
where he's just like looking out over the desert.
Yeah.
Oh,
Beautiful moment. Oh, that's a good one. That's a solid one.
because you know that like as you see him there, you're like, okay, everything's about to go wrong.
It's fair. Fair point. I also chose a Darth Maul moment. This means a little later on in the film, and that's okay.
Is it the kiss, the moment that used to scare me as a kid?
It's the door opening. Dun 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 dun. We'll take the long way.
Yep.
Yep. Here it is. One of my favorite lightsaber sequences of all time. Let's go. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon versus Darth Maul. Let's go. I'm sitting down for the rest of that. I'm done. I'm done for the next 30 minutes or whatever, however long it is after that.
Yep.
All right. How about Attack of the Clones?
This one was a tough one because there are surprisingly a lot of really cool moments, really cool shots in Attack of the Clones. But I went with the Obi-Wan and Jango Fett conversation in their quarters.
You know, it's just kind of like Vader and Luke in the AT-AT for me. I understand that. It's like, I don't think it's not a big fist pump moment. It's not a big like action moment or beat, but it does draw you in.
We talk about the scene with Miggs and the Imperial commander talking about Operation Cinder being like a Inglorious Bastards kind of moment. This was that before that scene in The Mandalorian, because you know Obi-Wan knows he's lying,
right?
And he's just trying to figure him out,
right?
Jango knows that he's lying,
right?
Otherwise, why would they clear off? But it's the moment that like I sit down. I know the seismic charge moment hasn't happened yet.
It's funny you mentioned that because my moment is the seismic charge moment.
There you go.
There's something about when you see them in there, and all of a sudden you just get that, whom.
Like you know it's coming.
Yeah.
You're like everyone who's in the room. You're like everyone shut the fuck up. The amount of times I see the Instagram reel of the like Valley girl in the car with the Starbucks.
Right.
And she's like, tell me a sound that's better than this. And she's like shaking her iced coffee. And then there's some Star Wars guy's like, wrong. And then it's the seismic charge moment. I see that at least twice a week.
That's a good one. That's a very solid one. I will give an honorary mention also that I almost put this one in is the moment when Mace Windu shows up at on Geonosis, the start of the battle, where also all the lightsabers show up and we start getting our moment where like for the longest time we're getting to see a bunch of Jedi in action at the same time.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of cool seeing all together.
I mean, someone has to be excited for Mace Windu to show up.
This part is over. Next up, Revenge of the Sith. So many. I'll tell you what, the first one's easy. Episode 3 comes up on the screen.
Yeah.
The tag of it. No.
Well, no, mine is literally like 30 seconds after.
Yeah,
it's the opening shot above Coruscant with the battle going on.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful thing. Oh my God.
I see that. I'm like, I'm done. I let up my plans for the rest of the evening, afternoon. I got 2.5 hours to kill.
I do now. Absolutely. I agree. I totally agree. There's so many times I could have so many moments in this. The one I'll pick for sure though is the moment is the soft moment. It's Anakin Skywalker in the Jedi Temple pier, the tier, looking out over and sharing that kind of look
Anakin's
with Padme
starts playing
across the city, and there's stuff going on, and then you know that's about to happen. Anakin's about to go wreck shop, and we're about to go into Order 66. So yeah, that one comes. Yep, I'm done. I am done. Forget it. So, because I mean, like, I guess what it's funny about this kind of moment is, like, for example, if I saw the beginning battle in Coruscant, I'm there. There is a time like after the Coruscant battle, before this, where I'm kind of like, it's not as one that's going to draw me in completely. I'm like, okay, I have to stop the remote at this, drop the remote at this point. Okay, I can get back. If it comes back to this part, I'm like, okay, I'm back in all the way. This is what I want to get to at this point.
Okay.
Having seen the movie a bunch of times, a million times, I've seen it. Like, I want my highlight reel. This is my highlight reel right there. Right where it starts. So, all right. Next up is an interesting one: the Clone Wars movie, which, as we know now, is basically a couple episodes stitched together, and so it doesn't have those kind of weird. It's a very disjointed movie. I have grown to enjoy the movie a lot more than I did when I first saw it. There's a lot I like about it now, but it is a very disjointed effort still because it is basically 3 episodes put together. Do you have one?
I've had one since we talked about this, like since we first floated this idea. There is a shot in this that is just so incredibly badass that I am pissed that they didn't continue it for the rest of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
There is a shot just before they scale the cliffs of Rex dual wielding 2 DC-15As, not the pistols.
Right.
He's dual holding the rifles.
Right.
And I was just like, okay. Okay.
Very nice. Very nice.
But then they cut to the actual battle and he's holding his pistols.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where did the rifles go? I want to see Rex just like holding 2 rifles, just like going crazy.
That would be awesome. Oh man, that would be awesome. For me, it is a quieter moment, but it's my favorite moment of the entire movie. But it's enough of a conversation that I get drawn in that I probably won't get back off the couch until it's over at that point. It's the Anakin Ahsoka conversation. You wouldn't have made it as Obi-Wan's Padawan. You might make it as mine.
Yeah.
And that was just a beautiful, touching moment that, like, it's like a chills thinking about it. It's funny, didn't affect me the first time I saw the movie. I was kind of like, okay, whatever.
No, me neither.
Nowadays, I'm kind of like, I think it's because we have the history now. We have the quote unquote bag.
And we understand these stories more. And, we have more of an appreciation for them.
100%. All right. Force Awakens. I haven't gone first yet. I'm going to take one. This was easy for me. This is the trailer moment for me also. It's the appearance of Han Solo, the first appearance of Han Solo coming back. That door opens. Chewie, we're home. I'm in. Give it to me. Give me the rest of this movie now. Easily the best moment for me.
No, that's good. I mean, I had my surefire moment. Let me give you mine.
Yeah, let's see.
Possibly one of the top 5 most badass shots in all of Star Wars. Kylo stopping the blaster bolt.
Oh, yeah.
First time I saw that, I watched him do it, and I was like, I don't know if you're allowed to do that. I was just looking around. I was like, is he allowed to do that? What the hell?
You're allowed to break lore if it's cool enough, Matty. That's the idea.
Not even like from a lore perspective. Just
I know. It's teasing.
That's almost cheating.
I know. It's so
blocking
good.
it with a lightsaber, that's one thing. But stopping it like an inch from your face.
Having it hang there in midair. Not
and
deflecting
then,
like Vader did.
It was like a Dragon Ball Z move where like they knock the energy blast to the side. I was like, what the fuck?
Absolutely. All right. Next up, Rogue One. This was actually a tougher one for me, and I love Rogue One, but specific moments are kind of tough for me to say. This is
you
one
want me to
I want.
go first because I got one.
Oh no, I got one. I figured out one.
Oh, okay.
And I want to say this before you do. Maybe it's seeing Donnie Yen in action. seeing Donnie Yen just all of a sudden break out of like, boom, there it is. The
I
end.
wish I'd have thought of that.
That was the moment. Like, okay, I am all in. Yep, I'm blind.
I think that's when a lot of people realize that Donnie Yen also has comedic chops, because Donnie Yen has really good comedic. Like, you wouldn't know because from like a lot of his Eastern films, because obviously they're subtitled.
Right.
Donnie Yen has got really good comedic timing, like really good. So, God, I wish I'd have picked that one, but I didn't.
I still hold out hope, and I know we're getting less content. I get that. I get we're getting less content, but I would love a Donnie Yen like spinoff.
A Chirrut and a Baze show.
Yes. Oh my God.
Or
Yes.
a Chirrut and Baze movie. Just give me. He has to show up in Andor. If they are going to Jeddah like they say they are, he doesn't have to have like a big part.
Right.
Just have him like on a street corner. Like,
the only
Andor walks past and he's like and I get it's like you don't waste Donnie Yen. I am possibly the biggest flyer of that flag of how much I love Donnie Yen. But just having a moment like Andor walks past him and like he kicks over a cup or something, he thinks like Chirrut is like some kind of blind beggar kind of a deal, because he knows who he knows who he doesn't know Chirrut, but he knows who he is. He knows the Order, and he's probably seen him before.
Potentially.
He's got to show up.
Yeah,
Just give me that little moment. Just give me that little.
I think you're getting it. I don't think you're getting it.
I don't think I am either, but
no, but I get it. I do, and that's what it is for me. All right, how about you, my friend? What about you for Rogue One?
The moment that Saw Gerrera realizes he's absolutely fucked, because I know what's about to come minutes after, and it is the single most gratifying feeling that, oh, dude, I have watched Jabba the Hutt get choked out by Leia so many times. I have watched the Ewoks beat the living shit out of the Stormtroopers so many times. Nothing brings me the satisfaction of watching Saw Gerrera get turned into dust. Not even Mace getting his arms cut off and thrown out a window. Watching Saw Gerrera, knowing that I've just turned on a movie and I'm about to just sit there and I'm gonna feel good.
Well, you're gonna get a Saw Gerrera moment in Andor, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I know what more moment's gonna be coming a few years after it.
All right, fair enough.
I can't. That's one thing I can't wait for that. I can't wait to just sit there and watch him come up on screen, and I'm just like, oh, buddy, you have no idea. You have no idea what's about to happen to you.
But he kind of does. He's willing to let it go at this point. He's done running.
He knows the risks, but he doesn't know who is going to be the one to bring the Empire to him. Oh, I can't wait.
All right, next up, The Last Jedi. Last Jedi. You want to go first? I'll go first.
Yes, I'll go first with this one. Shirtless Kylo is an inspiration to 15-year-old scrawny as shit little emo kid me. The emo kids can be jacked, but that's not the moment.
Fair enough.
It is a Kylo moment.
Okay.
Kylo piloting the TIE silencer.
Oh yeah.
You are your daddy's son. You are your granddaddy's son.
Mm-hmm.
The way he's just like flying it aimlessly through. That you are your father's son. You are your grandfather's grandson.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
how extraordinary.
Yes.
Absolutely. For me, it comes a little bit later on in the movie. I threw up the throne room sequence, of course, which is really cool, but that's too far out. I'm going to go with, just a smidge earlier. It's Luke and Yoda in the reunion on Ahch-To, where Luke's, they threaten to burn it down, and Yoda brings down the lightning Starts laughing and giggling hysterically, and he's like, but it leads up to that great moment. You know, we are what they grow to be, and it's this moment where like, oh, failure, our greatest teacher is, and it's just great philosophical moment. It's those moments in Star Wars that I love. It's those philosophical moments that I've grown to love over the years, the story wise, and seeing reunion of two characters that like they were in the first movie I ever saw. Empire Strikes Back was the first one I ever saw in theaters, and seeing Luke and Leota again, just it hits that inner child in me, and I thought it was just so well done. It's actually my favorite part of the movie as well. I think honestly. Something specifically about that. Something about that sequence with Mark Hamill and Frank Oz there together again. It's a beautiful moment. It's a very earned moment, and that's the moment where I'm definitely going to settle down a little back in my chair and go, give me Star Wars.
Okay.
So. All right. Next up, it is Solo. A Star Wars story. I'll let you go first on this one. This is a tough one.
Mine is... Yeah, this was tough because my first moment was when they first board the last light. So I'm like, oh, here we go. We're gonna see Dryden. Like Daddy Dryden's coming. And boy, do I love me some Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany, one of my all-time favorite actors. But it is not this moment.
Okay.
But it is not this day.
It is not this day.
The moment where it cuts and they're on the battlefield, it just makes me, I'm sitting there and I'm wondering, what would like a World War II style war movie in Star Wars look like? Like a Saving Private Ryan, what would that look like in Star Wars? And I know, because I have written it. But that moment when you know that Han is about to find his first crew, and that he's about to be thrown into a whole world of shit that he's not even. That's the story of Han Solo.
Yeah.
Getting thrown into situations he has no business being in.
Right.
They are way over his head.
And
or should be way over his head, but every time he finds a way.
Makes it out.
That is Han Solo.
I really think this movie is so underrated. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
I love watching this movie. Like the whole movie, it's fun. It's I want to say I mean this in the best way possible. It's inconsequential. Like it's not like something that lore heavy or anything like that. It's not like anything that like is important story wise. It's just kind of like we get to learn a little more about our characters. I thought Alden Ehrenreich did a great job. I mean, it's hard enough stepping into Harrison Ford's shoes. I thought he did a fine job. It was fun. Donald Glover was great. I get to see exactly what I thought it encapsulated the Solo spirit very, very well. Very well. There's moments like pure Han Solo moment. This isn't my choice, but like pure Han Solo moment at the end where Han Solo they're on the planet Enfys Nest and he starts making the threat. He's like, I got so many people aboard the Falcon right there. They're gonna come out, they're gonna take out, so you just watch yourself. And the Falcon just flies away. He kind of watches it go and goes, just steps back in line and goes, you can continue. Go ahead. So perfectly Han Solo. I loved it so much. It was so good.
Yep.
Train Heist is fun. I love Woody Harrelson in it. But for me, this is my fist bump moment and my drop remote moment. This is the moment where it just worked for me entirely. It's the moment where they're flying and Han gets to sit at the chair of the Millennium Falcon, sit in the pilot's chair of the Millennium Falcon the first time. And then Chewie slides in together. Like Chewie slides in where like Kira gets up and Chewie sits there and you see Han and Chewie the first time and the music swells up and you're seeing
I wasn't going to address it, but anytime I see Lady Kira on the screen, I'm sitting down and I'm watching the rest of the movie. But
that's fair. That's fair.
I thought that goes without saying.
Right, it does. It does. You're right. But yeah, that moment for me is probably both my fist bump, and that's a spoiler for our not when we did the fist bump moments, but that's it. Along with side by drop moment, because I'm going to watch the rest of the movie at that point for sure. The Kessel Run and all that stuff, and Enfys Nest, and it's just a lot of fun at that point. So, All right, last but certainly not least, Rise of Skywalker, our last Star Wars film we've gotten in the theaters, 2019, until Mando and Grogu comes out in 2026. What do we got here for that? Because this was a tough one for me.
It's the moment that they land on Kijimi.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Because I know who's coming.
Mm.
The greatest comedic character in all of Star Wars cinematic history.
Hey!
The true hero. Without Babu Frick, they do not find the Sith Wayfinder.
You're right. You are absolutely right.
Same as how we say R2 was the real hero of the Galactic Civil War. Babu Frick is the real hero,
right,
of the sequel trilogy.
Right.
I see people. I see all you guys out there campaigning that it's BB-8. It's not BB-8. Just because BB-8 held R2, how BB-8 helped R2, get him back online, and he had the map to Luke. Luke died, so Luke didn't win the war for him.
Babu Frick did.
Babu Frick did.
And he shows up at the end, and with Zori Bliss, she's right there.
Did Luke show up at the end? No, he couldn't.
I mean,
he showed up at the end of the movie before.
He kind of showed up at Knock 2 to push Rey back into fighting, but that's okay.
He showed up in the movie at the end of the movie before, and what happened? He died.
In one of the most powerful Jedi moments of all time, but okay.
But it goes back to the quote from The Hangover. But did you die?
All right, enough out of you. For me, I'm gonna go with. Some people said it was cheap. I loved it because it really sets the tone for the rest of the movie for me. It's the Han memory scene, the reappearance of Harrison Ford as Han Solo. One I didn't think we were gonna get because Han's not a Force ghost. Obviously, Han passes in Force Awakens. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched the Force Awakens. But Harrison Ford gets to reappear as Kylo's memory or something. We don't know, like, is he real or is he not real? It doesn't really matter. It's Harrison Ford coming back and pushing Kylo to make the right decision. Kylo throwing the lightsaber, and after that, he goes to get the ship, and he's turning back to help Rey out and defeat Palpatine for once and for all. But seeing Harrison Ford on screen and knowing, I think part of that is knowing the history. Like, I remember, I wish I could find the old interview or the old conversation about it, but obviously the late great Carrie Fisher passed away after The Last Jedi. And initially the idea was like The Force Awakens was going to be Han's movie and he was going to pass. Last Jedi was going to be Luke's movie. And then he did pass. And then like Rise of Skywalker was supposed to be Leia's big movie. And then Carrie Fisher passed, unfortunately. And so come to think about it, if Leia had passed during this movie, and I don't know if he would have, it probably would have been Leia who appeared to Kylo, because they kind of set that up during The Last Jedi that, that because he kills Harrison Han Solo, but he doesn't kill Leia at the beginning of The Last Jedi. It kind of feels like there's that moment.
He hears her say Ben.
Right. And like so it makes so much sense that Leia would appear to Kylo and redeem him. Han couldn't redeem him. Leia could. And because because Carrie Fisher passed, Harrison Ford came back. And while it isn't perfect story-wise, completely, Harrison said, like, quite frankly, as someone who had been pretty vocal about, he was pretty much down. He wanted to kill off Han Solo and Return of the Jedi. It was always the idea over the years. He wasn't as big a fan of Star Wars. He was an indie guy, but he came back, and Force Awakens was such a great return of love for him. He saw how much the character is loved and everything else. Returned on the celebration stage and everything else. But knowing that he said he came back again, despite his character being killed, despite he finally getting his wish and the character's dead, he's done. Yeah. He'd still come back and do one more Star Wars, even for a cameo, and he did it because he did it for Carrie. Because he felt like Carrie deserved that, even like she couldn't be there, he would be the one to step in and kind of do it for her, so to speak. Which makes a lot of sense to me, and it makes a lot of sense to the character. And it's a love for the Star Wars universe that had been rekindled, and so I see that in my eyes as well. I see Harrison Ford's love being rekindled, and I'm sure there are people out there who are crass and cynical and say, "Oh, I'm sure they offered him a bucket load of money and he did it," and maybe that's true. But I'm going to choose to believe that Force Awakens rekindled his love for the saga and seeing how much the fans loved him and loved the character, and his relationship with Carrie. Doing that for Carrie, the whole thing. I know it is weird. It just really goes above and beyond the movie. whatever. But sometimes that's what happens when you watch movies. They integrate with you in different ways, in weird ways. So when I see that moment, I see Han appearing on screen for Kylo. I'm like, yeah, I got to watch the rest of this now because I got those great moments coming up. I got there's more of us, Finn, or there's more of us, Poe. There's more of us, and I got the Ben Skywalker moment. The nod, the saber,
the Force time moment.
Right, first time moment. I know I got all that stuff's coming up, and I have a lot of fun with that as well. And I got the great ending there with all the different voices of the Jedi. So it's got to be that for me. That's what it is for me. So yeah. Well, I guess that does it for us then, huh?
Yeah.
For us. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. We'll definitely have to revisit this maybe once per show. We'll do like an episode per show or something like that. We'll do a Clone Wars arcs or something, or maybe every season of a show kind of thing. Clone Wars season 1, Clone Wars season 2, something like that. But we should do fist pump moments. A lot more coming up for the show as well. And of course, it's not too long before Skeleton Crew pops up. We got a couple months before that. We got our after show starts for that. Matty, where can the folks find you?
You can find me on all social media at Matty Morna. You can find my band Morna at Morna Band on all social media. Brand new song out today. By the time you are hearing this, I don't know when it is, but as of Wednesday, October 9th, brand new song out today. Thanks to everyone that's shown love. We've had quite a lot of people actually putting it on their playlist from what I've seen already, which is cool. Shout out to everyone that's reposted it, everything. It's hard to wade through the mud as an independent act these days, but we got a live lineup now that I'm happy with, that aren't a bunch of flakes. So I think in January, you're going to start seeing us a lot.
I'm excited for you, man. I'm excited for you. I'm happy for you. You can find me all over the socials, Twitter, at Paul_Denizio. You can also find me all over this channel, obviously. Every week we do Holy Snokes. Every other week I do a review with Lego, going through the V franchise, and it's turned into a hate watch for Lego, and that's okay. I still have fun talking about it. 2009 reboot, definitely not her speed, and I don't disagree, but it's still fun talking about it. Every other week we also do two video cartoons on a film. Our John Wick series was definitely a complete success. One of my most watched videos of all time was John Wick Chapter 4, so I'm very excited to see that. Then we got upcoming for the spooky season, we are back to finish up our big 3 of the horror icons. We are doing Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger next. That's what me and PJ are doing. And then after that, we have a lot of ideas. We're going to do some more. We're going to veer away from horror a little bit. We started as a horror podcast, but we kind of have done non-horror as well. We're never going to abandon horror completely, but we're going to talk about doing maybe the X-Men, maybe the MCU phases here and there.
I want to see you two start doing some comedy.
We could do some comedy. That's absolutely something we can do for sure.
Go back do some old comedies.
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally see us doing that. Lots of good stuff coming on from that. Of course, I also do Crown Jewels every week. I mean, the Flash Gordon soundtrack now. A lot of fun for that to be on every week. And that'll do it for us. So stay tuned until next time. I don't know what we're doing next week. We have to talk about that soon. So when you know, I know, and I know, you know, and just check us out next week. We'll be there. Bye.
May the Force be with you. Always.